Hey, Planeswalkers, Mythras here. Hope you're doing well and staying safe. We got another series here of Friday Night Meta, our third for May. May is now evolving. We've got a lot going on. Excited to cover some things here in this week's Friday Night Meta, especially for you. Appreciate you tuning in. Flip me a like, smash the subscribe, stay around for a while because we got a ton of content here on the channel for you. But in today's episode, what we will break down is standard, historic, Alchemy, Explorer, historic Brawl, and a couple key events from last weekend. Those you can find down below in the timestamps. We break down best of 1 and best of 3 here, my friends. Great way to stay in touch on the channel, but let's get going here and appreciate your support. So here's what we got going on in best of 1 standard right now for the Streets of New Capenna. Again, very mature in the season. Because we're past kind of that mid mark, as well as now the Streets of New Capenna has been out for almost a month. So meta is starting to kind of settle in. But some cool, interesting things that we've seen here over the last week. Boros Burn becoming a very, very popular deck. We certainly cover that one here on the channel. You can check that out as well. Lots of other decks here, finding space. Esper Control, obviously one of those newer ones, Ors of Angels, similar style, and then everything else has a couple other upgrades. Here we do see Boros Burn and Mono White Aggro really at the top end of the most played, and also at the top end of the win rate. Now this is everything at abroad. We'll go into the more competitive space here in a second, but here's what we're seeing. Obviously this Boros Burn going way up. Now we do see some recovery here in Mono White Aggro as well, which is very, very important. All key things happening right now. And then again, Boros Burn being very, very consistent here at the top end for standard. So running a 60% win rate is very, very healthy as always, my friends, and still controlling and maintaining a lot of the top in there. Popularity is a little bit closer as we look at the pre-new Streets of Capenna, and also what was going on with Kamigawa New Dynasty. So that's pretty important for us in terms of the trend of what's happening with this particular set and competitive space. Now let's go to the more competitive part here. We do see a little bit going on there. Not too many differences, but let's also go look at Mythic today and see what's happening. Mythic is a little bit different, so we don't see that Boros aggro in the space actually. We do see that Mono White aggro doing well, Nigh Humans, Celestial Enchantments, Rakdos, Sacrifice, Nigh Runes, Esper Control, Ors of Angels, and then that Jund mid-range still creeping in there. So we'll see. Keep an eye out there in case there is that Boros aggro continuing to fly back in. So that is best of 1 standard for us for this week. Let's go over to best of 3 here. Best of 3 Esper mid-range being the top key deck right now. Then we have Nigh Runes, Rakdos Sacrifice, Ors of Angels, Esper Control, Jund mid-range, Izzet Control, and Grixis Control. Jund mid-range being a healthy 22% of the meta, followed by another 2 key decks here, Nigh Runes and Esper mid-range, and then the works behind there. Again, we see that Jund mid-range heavily played. We see that Esper mid-range coming back up. Nigh Runes kind of still being steady Eddie. And then again, a really tight spread here in terms of popularity. Now, when we do look at the top end here, we see that Nigh Runes had been controlling a lot of the win rates. And then there's just been a slight increase in uptick in that Esper mid-range deck. We do see everything else kind of going either a little bit downward or kind of trending up over the last week, which is important for us to pay attention to. Now, as we move into the more competitive scene, we don't see anything really moving around there. We do see popularity at the top end kind of changing, but let's go take a look at Mythic and see what we have. A couple different things going on in Mythic now. Nigh Runes at the top, Esper mid-range, Jund mid-range, Jeskai Control being in there as well. And then again, a little bit more here in that Nigh Rune, Esper mid-range, and then Jund mid-range still really pulling down at the top, my friends. So that in a nutshell is standard. And we're going to go all the way back out and move over to our next format, which is Alchemy. We'll see if there's more information this week on Alchemy in terms of best of 1. A little bit, not as much. Mono Green Stompy, Mono White Aggro, Gruul Werewolves, still very popular decks. Again, similar style here in terms of what's being played. Again, you can see where these things are moving. Mono Green Aggro or Mono Green Stompy doing really well in terms of win rates in the space. Let's go to the more competitive spot here. Again, similar style, seeing similar things. Last but not least, anyone in Mythic? Nope, no one playing it in Mythic. So that's always key for us to pay attention to as well in terms of what's happening in that space. Alchemy, nothing in best of 3, not real popular for the current the Streets of Capenna, New Capenna season here. So let's move into our next one, Historic. What has happened and shaken up in Historic? We got Is It Wizards, we got Mono Red Aggro, we got Azorus Auras in the space, Azorus Control, Selesnya Life Gain, Is It Phoenix, Mono Green Elves, and that lovely Jeskai Control. And then again, very, very healthy kind of spread here. Mono Red Aggro being at that top in terms of popularity. Again, fast matches, those kinds of things as always. Is It Wizards being very, very consistent on that win rate there of that almost 60%. We do see that Azorus Auras popping kind of back up into the space. Let's move up the stack and a little bit more competitive. Again, not too much in terms of changes here. Let's go ahead and take a look at Mythic and see if there's any differences here. Is It Wizards key deck being played right now in Mythic if you're on Historic for best of 1. All right. Bounce over to best of 3. What do we have going on here? Again, some changes. Not a ton of players in the space right now playing. Golgari Food is a big one. 5-color Niv Mizzet, Jeskai Control, Rakdos Arcanus. Again, we can see that with some of these other things in terms of what's going on there, as well as that popularity over time. Let's see if we can get a crack at it. A little bit more competitive. Again, Is It Phoenix, Azorus Control, being very light, which means they're not a ton of play. And then not much going on there. So for everyone, probably on the lovely Explorer. Let's go see what we have going on here. Boom, Mardu Vehicles, Selesnya Angels, Mono Red Aggro, Rakdos Midrange, Rakdos Sacrifice, Mono Green Devotion, Esper Vehicles, Is It Phoenix. 20% on that Mono Red Aggro, Mardu Vehicles at 14, Esper Vehicles at 5, and so forth. Look at that huge leap there in terms of play and Mardu Vehicles. Everything else is real tight in terms of what's happening. And then again, win rate over time here, Mardu Vehicles has done very well. We do see that Selesnya Angels popping back in there, having a very, very healthy win rate. It does a really nice job against that Mono Red Aggro list. One of the main reasons it's not going to do as well as some of the combo stuff, those things, but that's is what it is. So now let's move more into the competitive space. Mono Blue Spirits creeping in there as well. And you can see that there. And last but not least, let's pop over to see what's happening in Mythic. We got Mardu Vehicles and Mono Red Aggro. Pretty big difference there. Very tight though in terms of popularity. All right, let's pull all the way back out. Now we're going to go ahead and look at Historic Brawl. What are we having? Raffine, Scheming Seer. Everyone's playing that. We got Teferi, Time Traveler back in there. Jetmir, Heliod's in there. Zika, Quiza, Augur of Agonies as well. So lots of different things here. 1.5% to get in right now for the popularity. And then also Jetmir being the top at 4%. We can see that popularity over time. Jetmir coming down. And a Raffine really being consistent here at that 62% at that top end, which is really, really nice, and outperforming Kinnan. So lots of interesting stuff. Then we got Falco, Spara, Packweaver as well. So that is Historic Brawl for us, my friends. Let's go all the way back over standard here. Now, a couple key events that I did want to mention quickly is this weekly tournament here, prize pool. Mint State Labs, powered by Mint State Arena Historic Tournament. Did have 52 players. Historic was what it was at. Let's go ahead and see what the top deck was. Mono Green Aggro. We do have Azorus Auras in there as well. Merktan. Congrats, bud, on number 2. See you around quite a bit. Magic Beard as well. Grixis Phoenix. We got Is It Phoenix, Mono Red Aggro in there. Azorus Auras. So 2 of the top 10. We do see Mono Red Goblins popping in, and then that Golgari Food. So very, very fun. Some of the decks that we did talk about here today. And then we also have a tournament organized by Elliott Dragon. Here, this one is standard, about 70 players. So let's see what happened this week. We do have Naya Runes, Esper Aggro, Orzhov Angels, Naya Runes, Naya Tokens, Esper Midrange, and Mardu Midrange in that space. So congrats, Iron Wolf, on taking things down with your Naya Runes deck. And nice job here, Blagic. 97, probably butchered that with your Esper Aggro list. So Planeswalkers, that's what we have in a nutshell this week in terms of our Friday night meta weekly series here on the channel. It's yours truly, MetaMaster Mythras here, because I missed that at the beginning of this week. But anyway, stay tuned, stay in touch, because we got a ton of things here on the channel. Loving the decks, loving the meta. Loving the formats and everything that is happening right now. So appreciate your support as always. Flip me that like, smash the subscribe. Thank you to the YouTube members and the patrons. A little extra as always, so thanks. Last but not least, other great ways to support the channel and great ways to stay in touch down below. And thank you, Planeswalkers. Well, until next week for this one, we'll see you again soon. You stay safe, you take care. Mythras out.